Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our 7th Superintendent Huddle for flood-impacted districts. We have a pretty brisk agenda for you today, and I think that's going to be the nature of these huddles as we move forward, as things move to a more stabilized spot. We'll start with check-ins from districts, just hear updates on how things are going, any changes that have come up in your community since the last time that we talked. We have been encouraged to hear about good news and things moving forward faster than expected. So we hope that that trend continues. But we know from dealing with other disasters around the state that sometimes it's 2 steps up and then you take a step back. So that may be some of what you're experiencing as well. But we'll do those check-ins. We'll have communications updates from Tony and just see if there's any information that she needs to share with you, but also to hear from you, or the things happening in your communities that you want to make sure that we're highlighting and lifting up and making sure that others are aware of. We have Valoria on with us to update us from Kentucky Emergency Management, and then Robin's going to provide some updates from the Office of Finance and Operations. So that looks like our agenda for today, and then we'll end with any next steps, along with how often and do we need to keep having the huddle conversation, which is where we always end. So we'll have that discussion again today. Let's go ahead and jump in and just round robin, anybody pop on and tell us what's going on in your community and if there have been any significant changes since the last time we talked.
Commissioner, this is Damian Johnson with Jenkins. Irvine. We had some hurdles pop up at our main transport building Thursday evening. We walked through that, brought in generators, and we had 2 groups with doing mastic remover, general contractor, a group replacing windows in the building, AEP on site to deal with the power, which is now back on. Came on yesterday at 2, and then my staff in the building working, and made great progress through all that. All the glue is up, and all the classrooms the furniture is in, the teachers are in the room, setting the rooms up, and we will have open house tomorrow evening. School start Monday.
That's amazing, Damien. How proud you must be. What a great amount of progress. I'm sure it was, I've described some of these other buildings I've been in like a beehive of activity. That must have been what it was like in your school.
It certainly was, and I was really proud of the teamwork that all these groups showed. They worked together to make it happen and put in 12, 14-hour days over the past couple weeks. And I'm just, it's really amazing. People that had been in since your visit to come in now and see the progress that's been made is truly outstanding. And I'd also like to say that our preschool room is set up in the church next door. We had a group come in from Somerset and bring us a lot of instructional materials that go with preschool. So that's ready to go as well. So we're right on schedule and everything's going great.
That's great, Damon. Congratulations. And so your open house is tomorrow, and when is your start date for that school?
Monday.
Monday. All right, great. That's great to hear. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Commissioner, this is Jonathan. I wasn't able to join last week. We had the West Virginia Batman in and had a program turning pain into power, hope and resiliency, and that went really well. We bused all of our students and staff to the football field and just had a fun day. You know, played music, kids got to dance around and just have a normal day, and it felt really good, and we were thankful for the opportunity to do that. I just want to continue to thank all the other superintendents that continue to provide support, buses, materials, whatever, to our district. I did get a text right before we came on that the JCPenney Distribution Center has 4 pallets of prepackaged backpacks. So any superintendents, any schools that would be interested in those, let me know. And they said all you need to do is just come and pick them up, you know, but they're prepackaged. I'm not sure what all's in them, but you know, if you are interested in that, just head up to JCPenney's here in Hazard, and like I said, there's 4 pallets, so there should be plenty.
Wow, that's great. John, how's the A.B. Combs School doing with the 2 schools operating in it?
It's going well. The new is wearing off for some people. I knew that would happen, but I didn't expect it to happen as quickly for some people. Overall, it's going great, but there's a couple people that have already started chirping a little bit, and we'll work through that. But 99% of the people are extremely thankful that we were able to keep everybody together. And I'm going to focus on those 99% and let the one or two talk to themselves. So
I understand, John. Well, and as all the superintendents here know nothing about critics that criticize the decisions that you make. So this is new for all of us, I'm sure. Well, we're really proud of the work that you did at AB Combs. It's great to see. Other folks.
Commissioner, this is Brent Hoover, Knott County. Just a quick update. We made really good progress. We've got transportation worked out. The building is clean. Just got notification that we had air quality testing performed Monday. The formal report comes back tomorrow, but the preliminary report, well, everything was excellent. Air quality, no mold. We hired an outside agency to do that. The one challenge that popped up, I had to really drive fast to get back in the office for this meeting. I've been down in Heinzman, and our intercom system is down, and the folks that service that can't get there until Monday. My start date for kids is Monday. And I'm not sure. I mean, I don't know what to do on that. I don't think we can get it up and going before Monday. Maybe we can. Any thoughts from anybody on that?
Do you have a phone system in the building that's still operational?
We do have a phone system. We are connecting phones to the system right now. It's not going through the. It's an old system, and we're using just portable handsets in each classroom. We do have a phone system, but the intercom system is what we're struggling with right now.
Yeah, I guess in the short term, you could, if it's just announcements that you need to share, you could just have those delivered in the morning and have the staff read them out. But your problem would really be if you had an emergency or something, need to tell everybody at once. So I'm not sure. We'll think about that from KDE's perspective, but other superintendents, I don't know if others on here have other ideas as well.
Brent, could you get enough handheld radios so each teacher would have one if you had an emergency and they could call over the handheld radio?
Maybe that's a thought.
That might get you through till they get it fixed.
Also, Brent, if you've got that via IP office system, you can set up paging through the speakerphone. We've had to do that in the past.
Now, if you remember, Philip, we have an antiquated system. It's a 1998 model.
Sorry.
Brent, is this at the high school or at an elementary school?
This is at the elementary school. We got our intercom system back up at the high school.
Well,
Brent,
you might be able to set up. I mean, I think for announcements, you could just carry those out and have the staff make announcements. But in the case of an emergency, you might be able to set up like a temporary public address system or something where, it would just be super loud. If it was in the high school where you got lots of wings, you may have problems with that. But in an elementary school where maybe you've just got a couple of hallways, maybe that would be a solution.
Okay, thanks.
Brent, is it a Nortel system?
No, it's an old, it's not Nortel. It's before that one, Damien. It's, can't think of the brand right now.
Okay, our old, well, I still have my old original Nortel, and it does paging, but maybe not. Okay.
Yeah, I wonder though if if it's just announcements and emergencies, think about just a big PA system that you set up in there with a microphone that the principal could go on and just crank it up and announce to everybody where they need to go and test that you could hear it in all parts of the building. But it's not ideal, but I don't know. We'll keep thinking as well.
Okay.
Brent,
All right.
Brent,
Thanks.
could you do this is David Couch, could you do a Teams meeting to those classrooms and then have them turn their volume up loud so folks can hear it? I mean, that's another option if you're just looking for a temporary type of thing, that's another option to where you're broadcasting out through that and they're just turning up louder so it can be heard.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that's a great idea, David. I love that. I can definitely do that.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you, David. Thanks, Denise, for that idea that you had too. So I think we've given you a couple of places to start, Brent, but we'll all keep thinking about it too.
All right.
Thank you. Others?
Commissioner, this is Denise in Letcher County. We are working feverishly to get our buildings ready. We've got most all furniture moved into our what will now be our elementary schools. We have another load of supplies and furniture coming tomorrow, and so hopefully by Monday they will all be fully furnished and ready to go. I visited the high school yesterday, and on the wing that is now West Whitesburg Elementary, you would never know that it was a high school. Those teachers have made their homes, and it's beautiful and almost ready for kids. So we have a few days still, but come Wednesday, the 21st, we will be ready.
That's amazing. Congratulations, Denise. Huge progress that you've made in your community. Everything's working well with the wastewater system that was down?
Yes, right now everything is fine. We've had some other things to work through at that building, just getting it clean where we didn't have water and things for so long, but just getting it cleaned up and getting the mud out of the parking lot and making it the best it can be for our kids to come. So we're still, it'll take every minute of the next 4 or 5 days, but we will be ready come the 21st.
All right, Denise. Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
Others?
This is Philip from Breathitt. We're just very appreciative. Been working with some of your staff on trying to plan long-term for the Breathitt ATC and try to figure out what to make the best step for our students is going forward. Had some really productive calls. We're working really hard on our Coliseum classrooms with some contractors, bus garage and football den. And then just really proud of all the effort my staff's been putting into trying to locate families, displaced families, and working on all of our no-shows. We're down just a handful. And then just diving into a FEMA process and working with everyone on that, trying to figure out how to get the applications and stuff filled out. And then I just really like to give a shout out to all the KDE staff from, I didn't know how much I needed them, from Robin to David to Kelly to Greg Dunbar, right on down the list. Beth Hargis, been in contact with so many people just trying to work on solutions for kids. So thank you and your staff for that. Thank everyone for their donations. And as we were trying to return to normal, just hearing my kids coming home last night talking about their MAP assessment this week and what they scored in reading and math and where they was and where they're going to go this year, their goals. That was kind of nice just to hear some normal conversations around instruction. So thank you guys for everything.
Thank you, Philip. We're encouraged to hear the progress is happening, and you're our priority. So appreciate you saying those kind words about the KDE staff, and we're glad that we could be of support to you. Others?
Superintendent Wayne Sizemore, Jackson Independent. I want to echo what Philip said. The work with ATC just to do the makeshift at Hazard Community Technical College, can't say enough about their staff. It's been very nice for our students to be part of that piece. Also with HCTC, they started college classes September 12th, this past Monday. So that's been a breath of fresh air for our high school students. So I can't thank the HCT staff enough. I know that they've had their own hoops that they've had to jump through getting classes back in session. So just a great start with that. We're on day 20. Attendance has been we're very pleased with our attendance this week, an average of 94%. So we've really tried to push high attendance this week, and I think it's showing. So can't say enough about the staff and the work that they're doing, also the families of getting back to normal.
Great. It's great to hear, Wayne. Thank you. Others?
This is Sandra Combs. Can you all hear me?
We can.
Okay. I usually have trouble with my microphone. So things are going great. We have families I've talked to that are starting to have flooring down and drywall up, and they're able to start moving back. So we're excited about that. We've had some normal activities. We hosted the KSBA regional meeting, had 45 participants from different regions. Really enjoyed that. Kids are playing soccer, football, just things are going well. So we just hope our families can get back in. Our secretary that could not get to her home. They're putting in a new temporary bridge now. So she's at least going to get to be able to look at her house to see what it looks like, see what's going on. So just stories like that. It's still, I'm sure you all are in worse shape than we are, but families are still trying to figure out what to do. Our kids are living with grandparents, and we're just trying to support all them and help them in any way we can. But things are going well. attendance is trending up. So that's good news also. Thank you.
Excellent, excellent on all fronts. Sandra, great news. I think we've covered all the superintendents that are on from flood impacted districts. Anyone else that we missed? Just pause here. Okay, I did see Anna Shepard last night at a KEDC event, and she updated me on things are going well in her community as well, and she continues to be available to provide any support to the rest of you. And I just really appreciate getting to visit with Anna and appreciate her support of the whole region. Let's go ahead and jump into communication updates with Tony. Tony, any things that you'd like to update the superintendents on? And superintendents, anything that you want Tony tracking or us maybe putting together a story on?
Yeah, so I have, let me go, I'm trying to operate on one screen here. So I wanted to just highlight, this is something that came out of our visits to Eastern Kentucky a few weeks ago. So Caleb on my team went back to Perry County, to the Buckhorn School and A.B. Combs, and kind of just pulled together a really good piece on just the resiliency and the grit that shines amongst the community there. So really grateful for Superintendent Jett to allow us back to kind of hang out with you on the first day of school. Brent and Damien and Denise, I may be asking for the same thing. The stories are just really incredibly inspirational and just really neat to tell. So I appreciate you all allowing us to come in and to tell these stories. So that we'll go ahead and share that link with you all. It was just posted about yesterday, and so we're continuing to share them. I also wanted to share because these are simple things that we can certainly highlight, even if it's not through a story, but just shout outs. I saw this was shared to me from the Breathitt County Area Technology Center. And obviously, as you know, they lost everything, materials, supplies, equipment, everything. And so they are starting to try to rebuild some of the things that they've lost. And Cornwell Tools stepped in, and they brought us SUV one day, and the next day another pallet arrived, and the day after that, more supplies arrived. So I think you can see here a lot of the kids are really excited. It's obviously hands-on stuff is really big with our ATCs and learning and trying to figure out which pathway they are at and how we can support them. So these are just some examples of things that we're trying to share. So if you guys hear, or obviously I know you're hearing, I'm here at Ohio Valley at OVEC today and was talking with Jerry from KVEC and Kay from SECC and talking about just lots of these things that are happening. So please feel free to share those with me, and so that we can continue to, sorry, I'm going to stop sharing my screen now. There we go. Just continue to tell your stories. So was I sharing my PowerPoint, or was I talking the entire time? I just wanted to check.
No PowerPoint, just the talking,
That's
which
what I
was
thought.
awesome.
I just looked and saw well, there were some lovely photos and some lovely links to stories that I will make sure you all get. I just realized I was not sharing my screen the entire time, so I apologize. But they will be in the PowerPoint, and that's all I have today. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Tony. And superintendents, please, if there are any stories in your communities that you think are noteworthy or that we need to be lifting up, this story that John shared about JCPenney and the backpacks may be something that we want to look into. That's super generous on their part. We want to keep sharing the stories of the heroism and recovery and generosity that we're seeing out of your region. So please bring forward any ideas like that you have. Let's shift now to Valoria Smith. Valoria is on with us from Kentucky Emergency Management. Any updates from you, Valoria?
Good morning, everybody. Just a few things. We are definitely in the thick of things with the exploratory calls, and then right after that, the recovery scoping meetings. I'm working very, very closely with you guys as PDMGs, and what helps is if they can start getting a list of your damages. They're going to send you a template. If they don't, then I'll make sure that you get the template. One of the biggest things is just to write down what happened and where it happened. Like they're going to need to know if it's there at the elementary school, it's at the elementary school, what damages you had, and then if you can get them for them, the GPS locations, it's on a form. And basically what happens is they can take that template that they sent you and they can merge it over to their system. And then they do what they call a grouping, logical grouping of your damages. And that's how they develop your damage inventory. Anything that I can do to help with that process, I definitely will. Right after your recovery scoping meetings, if there is time, and when I mean say time, I mean time on your side for me to either meet with you, your finance officers, or both, I can help you start to gather the information that you're going to need to build your projects. And that in that way, I can sit with you and you can tell me, you know, like yesterday I met with Christine at Pike, and she does more instruction than anything. And she was just overwhelmed during the meeting. And I told her, you know what, after the meeting, we will sit and the majority of the things that he just gave you, I will do them for you. And she, you know, she relaxed, and then we talked to the finance director, and now we've got it. So what I'm saying is this was, as they're going through all of this, I know you got a lot. I know you have a lot. I will do it for you. I really will. I just need time to sit there with you so that I can either gather the information, we can set up a time for you to send me the information. If you want me to do the whole thing, I will. If you want me to just help you put the information to where it makes sense, and the finance director at Pike wants to actually do the forms herself, I'm just going to help her put everything together. So whatever it is that you need me to do, just don't feel like you're getting all this stuff dumped on you and what am I going to do from here? Because you're not in this by yourself. That's what I'm here for. Some of you guys have consultants that you are working with. I'm still here. Okay, so if it is something that you need to get together for the consultant and you are just running out of time, call me. Okay, and I will come and I will help to get those things together if it is a question or a concern just about the whole process, because keep in mind, I'm in touch with everybody that is in touch with you for this entire project, not just your cost, EHP, mitigation, your PDMG. I'm in touch with every facet that is going to be helping you to get through this. So definitely, even if you have a consultant, reach out to me if you have, you know, if you have a question, or if you just need somebody, an extra hand, you know, for an hour or so during the day, just call me and I'll come by. Okay.
Thanks so much, Valoria. We appreciate you and just the way you approach supporting our districts. We're really grateful for that. Let's shift to Robin Kinney. Any updates from her? And then I know that we've got our big brother, Lenny Whalen, on here. And Lenny, after Robin finishes, just any words of advice that you'd give for the superintendents on our group is just someone that's a little further down the track on this recovery. Go ahead, Robin.
Thank you, Commissioner. Good afternoon. Well, good morning, afternoon to all the superintendents and district staff that are joining us today. I have a couple of things that were asked of emergency management to see if we could get some information from you. So we're going to ask you some questions, and if you please put responses in the chat. We'll try not to have everybody talk at once. I have my colleague David Couch on here as well. And emergency management has been receiving some inquiries from communities and from maybe a few of you even about internet access at temporary housing sites. So this is where we've got families and students and parents, maybe even some staff that are located at sort of temporary housing, either at state parks or as they're putting temporary housing and shelters together for a more long-term basis, still temporary, but still a little long-term. We are hearing that there are concerns about needs for internet access, and want to poll you just quickly, if you can put in the chat, if you are seeing some difficulties from that. We know that some of you may have to use remote instruction at some point, and of course, House Bill 1 from the special session permits that. So we're just trying to get an idea of how many districts may be experiencing challenges from that, and what we might do to provide you information and assistance to kind of think through that. David, I know you've had some conversations with Superintendent Watts from Breathitt County, but we're really trying to determine how big of a need this is out there. So David, do you want to jump in for a few minutes?
Yeah, sure. And obviously having family and growing up in Eastern Kentucky, I'm very familiar with those areas. My folks went to Carr Creek, so I'm familiar with that. And I spent a lot of time at Jenny Wiley. My dad was a park ranger there, so I'm familiar with those campgrounds. And obviously we have a family farm in Breathitt County. So the question came up, and Philip, you can join in, Superintendent Watts, you can join in as well, is we have, I think he had 13 students that are at that campground. And Philip approached the emergency folks about those students. That he doesn't have any students that are intending to want to have instruction remotely, but just the after school kind of things that students would normally have, and also just communication with parents, so parents can talk back and forth by text or by phone, or keep up to date what's going on with the Facebook page on the district site, and also the parent portal. And so, but this is a community-wide issue that we saw in that report, that everyone in those campgrounds is wanting some kind of connectivity to keep from feeling isolated, and sometimes to do remote work, but also the normal things you would do if you had internet at your house. So we anticipated, before the pandemic, actually before the flood, that there are very few folks signed up for full-time remote instruction. And even after the flood, we anticipate most will still want in-person instruction versus, virtual instruction. But you need that internet option at the campgrounds. And so there's a variety of ones that are there. Obviously, hotspot services are the things that come to mind that most quickly address that. There are 2 federal funding sources already in existence that we briefed your EdTech staff on a couple of times that can address that. One is the district purchase device. Another one is called the ACP program, the Affordable Connectivity Program, which parents apply for. If a hotspot doesn't work, like Appalachia Wireless, Philip, you said, it doesn't work at that campground. Sprint has 1 or 2 bars. I don't know if Verizon works. I guess that perhaps it doesn't. Then you have to take a look at other options that are out there. There are companies that specialize in providing temporary internet service. There's a company that's approached us during the pandemic and during the tornadoes in Western Kentucky that I pointed the county judge executives toward to get temporary internet access to a wide community that uses satellite. Also, Philip, I know, like, for example, in Breathitt County, there's Thacker Grigsby that's been putting internet all through that community. And if it could at least reach that campground, then there could be a wireless connection that's put out there. So the question is also just who leads that, who puts that in place, what's the funding source that can quickly put that in place. But so there's some temporary ones that are out there with hotspots if it receives there. And it's been a while since I've actually gone to that Jenny Wiley campground to see if a hotspot works there or not. But I know, Philip, in your case, the hotspots aren't an option, and it may be the case in Carr Creek and some other ones that you're dealing with. So I'll just pause there and just get some feedback.
Look, the little campground we're dealing with, the hotspots I don't think would work. Sometimes if you dance around on 1 foot, you might get a call out. But I've tried to help reach out to a couple people, but that campground is actually TDS territory. So I'm fairly confident if it was Thacker Grigsby telephone, we'd already have an access point up.
Yeah.
But, no, I don't have any connections with TDS, so tag you're it, and then App Wireless could probably come in and put a booster up, but that's not how it happened either.
Yeah, I just know you've talked about you can't get movement on it, and they're going to be there for a while. This is not going to just be for a few weeks. They're going to be there for months, several months, if not a year, as we're approaching. So, are there any other ones running into that situation at Jenny Wiley or at Carr Creek or some other place?
We have a few students at Carr Creek, but we haven't heard of any issues. We have about, I think, 4 students. We're busing them to and from school, but we haven't heard of any issues with internet or any concerns from them.
I've been in that campground. We have the Couch Family Reunion at that campground every year. So that has a pretty good signal. I just imagine hotspots are working there, is why you're probably not hearing it. And I suspect the one at Jenny Wiley is, because I get cell signal all through that. I suspect the hotspots are working there too.
Yes, and the same is for Mind Made Adventure Park. We refer to it as the trail ride. We've got about 31 students up there. And Philip, we picked up 2 today. 2 of yours enrolled behind me. So you'll be getting that soon.
Yeah, that's a good fan. I kind of not know about that situation. It's just so far from Jackson. We just got to do what's best.
Mitsubishi, is it?
I think part of this helps us to address, so if this is not something that's pressing these other districts, then Philip, we can work on going full court press on this, this situation that you have for those 13 students there. It helps them kind of narrow, where we need to focus to get some kind of service there of some type, since there is 0. And as we've talked about, typically in campgrounds, you want to cut the cord. You don't want any kind of connect. You want to relax in a casual setting, but not if you're going to be there for several months or a year.
Hey, David, I'll also point out Denise has put in the chat that they are just now getting some temporary trailers set up. So it's almost like we don't know what we don't know yet. So we'll have to keep this dialogue kind of going to make sure that once you get some people in your temporary trailers, and of course on my county call that I participate every morning with EMS, they are continuing to show additional trailers, housing, temporary units coming into lots of districts and counties. So we may see other temporary housing communities popping up. So if we can ask you all to please continue to make us aware as you start running into issues for these new ones that might pop up.
Denise, is Appalachian Wireless your main one in Letcher County?
Yes.
So the key,
cable on Appalachian Wireless.
So the key thing is wherever they're at, if you get a pretty strong cell signal, that tells you the hotspot is going to work. It's Philip was talking about, Philip is kind of like standing in the middle of my barn there in Breathitt County for a while. I could make it work there, and that's the only place I can make it work. That's not what you're after, and then there's better coverage there now. So the thing you can do to get ahead of it is asking them, how strong is your cell signal, and they'll tell you whether those hotspots work or not.
Okay, thank you, David.
Okay, thank you very much for everyone kind of letting us know, and we'll report back to emergency management what we've learned from you all today. Thank you, David, for participating in the conversation. A couple other things that I just want to, almost as reminders, the East Kentucky Safe Fund is now available through the emergency management, the Division of Emergency Management, and also through KDE. So applications are now open to be received if you all need to apply for funds under the criteria of House Bill 1 from the special session. You can apply more than once. So if you know of some things now and you're kind of waiting to collect other things that you might want to apply for, don't let that stop you from going ahead and asking for relief that you need now. You can apply more than one time to both KDE and also emergency management. We did have a question, I think, on the last call about reimbursement for maybe some SUV or larger vehicles to go and pick up kids in areas that your school buses could not transport. We have reached out to FEMA and asked that question specifically about possible reimbursement of that, and FEMA will not reimburse for those costs. So then we second have looked at both the KDE pot of funds and also the language for the EMS pot of funds from Kentucky Safe. For the KDE fund, the language in the bill allows additional transportation costs to provide transportation to students that are displaced from their district or county. So if you are incurring additional transportation costs to pick up students to bring them back to your district, and they're outside of your district or outside of your county, you can apply for relief to us here at KDE for those costs. And if you need any assistance on how to calculate that, we did this through the Western Kentucky tornadoes and came up with a sort of a mechanism, a formula that you could apply. and got those processed fairly quickly. If this is for transportation cost within your district, so it's within your district, but you're still incurring those costs because you have to go still to the same routes within your district. You just have to add SUVs to do that. Then there is a possibility under the EMS fund. And let me share with you the provisions that I'm looking at. We have a question into EMS to see if we can get sort of an advanced head nod. Yes, this would fall in this area, but we haven't received a response yet. But I am looking at two provisions that I think are arguably permissible. Reimbursement for services, personnel, and equipment during the response and recovery to communities impacted by storms and flooding, but only to the extent of damage directly caused by the storms and flooding. I would argue on your behalf that the equipment are the extra vehicles that you need. So I would argue that. And then there is also another provision in the EMS fund that allows for eligible expenses for assistance to support disaster recovery and relief needs of local school districts. It's very broad. So I would think between the two of those, we should advocate that you could be reimbursed for those extra transportation costs that are not covered explicitly by reimbursement from the KDE fund. One other thing that I want to just mention, if you have districts that have applied for FEMA public assistance, and I know you're already starting your exploratory calls and all those things to deal with FEMA directly, you should still be receiving a survey from emergency management. And that survey is asking you to reply about your anticipated or actual expenditures for a 30-day period. This is that part where Kentucky was granted specific relief to pay for 100% of cost for a 30-day period. And Kentucky, as the recipient, can only pick one 30-day window. So they are asking for you all to complete surveys and trying to pick the most expensive 30 days to the Commonwealth of Kentucky, and they need your help in trying to determine what that looks like. So you should be receiving that from emergency management, that survey to fill out. I think it comes for a 2-week period for you to complete. I know that's another thing that is being asked of you to do, but if you have significant expenditures, it's important for you to reply to that survey so they can include your costs with everyone's else costs as they're making a decision about that 30-day period. Commissioner, I think that's all that I have this afternoon. Continue to reach out to us. We're getting a lot of questions about districts, especially as it relates to next steps. And don't hesitate to call Valoria. She is available to us 100% of the time to work to support your local school districts. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much, Robin, for that update, and thanks, David, for your contributions as well. Brother Lenny, I wonder if there's any advice that you have for our other superintendents, just as someone that's a little further down the path.
Well, I just was looking at a calendar here, Commissioner. We're about 9 months out from the tornado, and Sandra, you mentioned kind of the short-term housing and other things. That's going to be a challenge you're going to continue to battle. We're still battling that here in Dawson Springs. We are seeing homes start to pop up, but the problem we're seeing is, a lot of the homes that are popping up, they're not student homes. They're middle-aged, older folks that, their kids are out of the home, stuff like that. We do have some Habitat for Humanity homes. Hopefully 12 of those are going to be built by the end of this year, which is going to happen quick. Those will be some student homes, but the housing piece is really going to be a challenge, and it's going to be some time before you start to see that really rebound. It's going to seem like it's moving at a snail's pace because it kind of has here, and I expect that's probably what you guys are going to see there. So just, be prepared for that. We had several students that we were transporting shortly after the tornado that wanted to finish the year with us. They did that. They anticipated they were going to come back this school year, but to be honest with you, they just couldn't find long-term housing. so they end up having to move on. So that's some things that you guys are probably going to see as well. So, just be prepared because the wheels are going to turn very slow on that. I do want to mention to you, Denise, I had touched base with you a while back. I do have some books and stuff that I would like to bring to somebody's libraries. I know, Denise, you said you guys had a ton come in. We do have some library books from here in local areas. My local library has some books we'd like to contribute. I just really would need to know who might be able to use those and who I would be able to contact to deliver those to you. And I know, a lot of this stuff that I'm mentioning, you're covered up just trying to get the things going in your district, and these kind of things are not really front burner items. But I do have some stuff I'd like to help you with, as well as if you have other needs that are not being met. I've been there, and a lot of times you don't know what you don't know that you don't need because you don't know you don't need it or you do need it yet. But if you do find out those things, please reach out to me. I know a lot of my brothers and sisters here in Western Kentucky and Northern Kentucky as well would be very willing to try to help get you whatever you need. And I know a lot of times we don't know what we need because we're just trying to get things moving. So just keep up the work. Each week will get a little bit easier. You'll see a little bit more being done, and it'll be positive. But I commend you guys. I mean, I've been there and done some of this, and it's not easy, but it will gradually get a little bit easier as you move along. So I'll gladly field any questions. Please contact me, Denise. I'd love to hear if you got any ideas where these books may be able to go, or if there's any other folks on this call who could utilize some of these books for your school libraries, local libraries, etc. I'd like to be able to help in some capacity there.
Thank you very much, Lenny. We appreciate your counsel and advice. And now, superintendents, we bring our meeting to a close and have the conversation around, do we want to go ahead and meet next week at this same time, or do we want to change the frequency of our meetings? Are we ready to go to every 2 weeks, or how is everybody feeling?
Commissioner, I was just looking at the calendar. We do have a Superintendent Summit, not next Thursday, but the following Thursday. It's actually Wednesday and Thursday at the Golf House. So that may be a conflict for some people if they're planning on attending that.
Okay.
But I think they are very beneficial, and it allows people, especially the people that are still in the process of reopening, an opportunity to talk with some of us that have transitioned to getting our students back.
So I think we can look, Jason, do you want to look? We can look at that week of is that the week of the 29th, Jonathan?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, well, we could go ahead and meet next week, and then after that cancel the meeting, because several of us will be in Louisville for that superintendent meeting, and sort of take stock where we are after that, and decide if we want to get back together again. So does that sound okay as a process for us, everybody? Okay, I'm seeing lots of head nods and thumbs up. Let's plan on that. We'll go ahead and send the invite out for a meeting next week. I'll also plan on seeing several of you at the superintendent meeting in Louisville in 2 weeks. And then we'll send out a poll and see how people are feeling after that, if we want to continue having these. Thanks, everybody. We are, again, remain so impressed with all the work that you're doing, and stand ready to support you any way we can, just as things continue to evolve in your communities. Take care.